Welcome to the No Sugarcoating Podcast. I am Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. I am also the founder of amberapproved.ca. I support professional women achieve optimal health through mindful eating, self-care, and overcoming self-sabotage with food. This podcast provides the honest truth on what you really need to create body freedom. The No Sugarcoating Podcast provides information on healthy living, lifestyle changes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your healthcare practitioner regarding your health and nutrition program. Hello, everybody of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. Welcome. I've got some really exciting things to share with you today. So this week, and tying into the theme of my exciting announcement, is this week's theme, because I think it's very fitting. So this week, I am talking about costs of emotional eating impacting your success, costs of emotional eating impacting your relationships, and building awareness on the impacts of emotional eating and how it's impacting your world and every aspect of your life. And one of the reasons why I wanted to theme the podcast around this week is I had a very big opportunity come up. And I've had my business now for almost 6.5 years, and I've coached hundreds of women all over the world to overcome, their self-sabotage with food and build body freedom and balance hormones and digestion and just like create this whole new identity and this self-love. And so a woman that I've followed for a really long time, whom I started to follow because she was on a TV show about 13 years ago. So I'm just going to share with you essentially what happened this week. So I followed this woman. Her name is Whitney Port. Some of you may know her. She is very well known from a reality TV show called The Hills. And if you're not familiar with her, she is a mother. She's an entrepreneur. She has designed fashion lines in the past. I think she's a celebrity. She's very down to earth, very kind, and very open and very vulnerable. And so she started a podcast. I've again followed her for like the last 12 years. And then of course, once The Hills ended, she got a different show. And then I started to follow her on Instagram and just like loved seeing her get married and become a mom and just like her being on that journey. And so she started a podcast in, I believe it was around April, and I started listening to it. And she actually did an episode where she talked about having a miscarriage. And she was very vulnerable and very open about sharing her experience and all the emotions and feelings that she went through. And I really commended her for that vulnerability and for being that open. And so then I saw her post on Instagram and talk about body image, and I'm thinking, I need to figure out a way to find a way to contact someone on her team to see if I can have an opportunity to come and be an expert on her podcast to share my experience and that you're not alone and just, what I've gone through with her audience. And I'm excited to share with you that my big announcement is I was just in Los Angeles this last week, and I got to be on Whitney Port's podcast. It's called With Wit, and it was very, very exciting, an amazing experience, a huge opportunity for me, and I'm really, really, really excited to share the interview with you, and I will provide more information and announce when it comes out and put a link in the show notes when that comes up. But that's my big exciting announcement. And the reason why I'm creating the theme for this week to be tied around this is because the old me 10 or 15 years ago, if I would have had this opportunity, even the me 7 or 8 years ago when I was still overcoming my body image struggles, would probably have passed this opportunity up. Why? Well, because if I was struggling with emotional eating and bloated and didn't feel good or wasn't quote unquote the weight that I thought I should be, I probably would have said no and made all these stories and reasons and excuses as to why I couldn't go and take advantage of this amazing opportunity. So hence emotional eating impacting your success. Emotional eating potentially like it's impacting the relationship I have with myself, the relationship I have with my business, and the potential, opportunity to create a relationship with someone else who is very open and kind and vulnerable and is willing to share my story with her audience, which is so empowering. So I think it's just so important to understand how emotional eating, body image struggles, low self-worth, and different physical symptoms can be having a negative impact on these different areas for you, and how it can be holding you back in one area of life or all areas of your life, because it's not something that you've been able to get a handle on or deal with yet or feel ready to deal with yet. So I really hope that you feel inspired today to want to take action and gain freedom from emotional eating, the body image struggles, and the physical symptoms that you may be struggling with, because it can impact every area of your life and it doesn't have to anymore. So that I am really excited to share with you. So I will share the episode and all the info once I get it from the recording studio. So I want to just share a couple of key announcements before I start today. So be sure to subscribe to the No Sugarcoating podcast on all podcast apps. You can also click the link right in the show notes to go and subscribe. As well, you can listen to all episodes at amberapproved.ca/podcast-archive. That's ARCHIVE. So when is the last time you felt grateful for the body that you live in? Having a deep level of appreciation, even if you have a cold or nagging symptoms that don't seem to go away, can help you feel relief from your symptoms more quickly because you're not fighting with your body. Feeling gratitude in your body daily is so empowering and uplifting. It makes your day, it makes you feel lighter and happier. And many people say that they are grateful for things, but when they don't feel into the gratitude, which makes the connection much deeper, it can feel like something is missing. So what if you could experience and activate gratitude in yourself and your body every day? Imagine thanking your body for all that she does for you. Gratitude for the amazing functions your body does, from breathing to digestive processes to heart beating, liver detoxifying, producing enzymes. We don't even think about it or pay attention to these things, yet they are happening every moment of every day. Imagine being grateful for your body taking you everywhere you go, feeling grateful for your arms hugging someone and feeling the connection with them. How would it feel if you could live and breathe this every day? As I've been sharing, I'm claiming these next weeks between Canadian and American Thanksgiving as my season of body gratitude. As we bring more gratitude into one area of life, it feeds into other areas as well. For example, I'm super grateful that I get to support and guide my clients to create body freedom in their own bodies and create gratitude within themselves. And in celebration of this body gratitude, I'm offering a gratitude savings for my 6-month and 1-year coaching programs, which is actually over $1,000 savings. So if you are ready to invest in your health, make sure that you email me at info@amberapproved.ca with the subject line Fall Coaching Sale to book your 30-minute body freedom call to secure your savings. Body gratitude, self-love, overcoming emotional eating, being free of your physical symptoms so that you can have the success in every area of your life, including the relationship you have with yourself, is priceless and you deserve it. So I look forward to connecting with you. And of course, make sure you listen at the end of the episode for the rest of this week's announcements. So I'm going to dive right into the show. So costs of emotional eating impacting your success. So as I shared, about this big opportunity to go to Los Angeles and record live with Whitney, there's no part of me anymore that thinks about well, how am I going to look? My appearance and do I need to lose a few pounds? There's no part of me that thinks that anymore with anything, whether it's I'm traveling or going on a vacation with my boyfriend or I'm sitting in a hot tub. None of that comes up anymore because I've done so much work and healing to mend that relationship with myself and to build self-love and to not punish with food anymore. But there are so many opportunities that I missed out on prior to having my business when I was struggling with emotional eating because I was so self-conscious and I wanted to hide my body because my self-worth was so caught up in the way I looked, the number on the scale. If this part of my closet clothes didn't fit, well, then there's no point because no one's going to love you or people are going to notice you've gained weight. And so I isolate a lot. And this is big for, a lot of my clients or professional women, whether you run a business or you're in a certain career profession or you're wanting to, ask for a raise or apply for that promotion. So it's success in that sense, but it's also success in your relationships. It's success in the relationship you have with your family, your spouse, your kids, your friends, the relationship you have with yourself. So I'm going to be touching on that as well. So it's not necessarily just success, as far as money and clients or whatever kind of business or career you're in. I really believe that success comes in so many different areas. Amber Approved offers private coaching for hormonal imbalances, weight loss and digestive issues, emotional eating, and more. Contact Amber at amberapproved.ca to book your 30-minute complimentary consultation today. But first, I want to touch on success in like business, career, whatever your path is, because I think that it's very difficult, if not impossible, to achieve full success, align, the abundance, the ideal opportunities. If you feel insecure, unwell, and unhappy in your body, and you're again fighting with this emotional eating that is so draining and exhausting, it's so important to deal with things like this so that you can have full freedom. So, if you were to take a moment and you can grab a piece of paper and a pen and do some journaling on this, so pause the podcast if you need to, but if you could get a handle on emotional eating and you could overcome it, and you no longer obsessed about food or lost control with food or worried about losing control with food, where would your success take you? How would getting a handle on emotional eating take your success to the next level? Would you apply for that promotion? Would you take on a big speaking gig? Would you write that book, right? Would you raise your prices? Would you expand your business? Would you take on more collaborations? Would you travel more? What would you take on that you are not allowing yourself to now because you're not the weight you want to be, you're insecure in your body, you don't feel well, you're exhausted, or you don't want to be seen? Like, especially if you're a public figure or an influencer, or you are like some sort of a coach where like you are seen, it can be very difficult to feel comfortable in any scenario where all eyes are on you. And so therefore, a lot of people just pass up opportunities, and then that impacts your money flow, your success, that impacts your ability to impact other people because you're not wanting to be seen. It plays a huge role. And then you're not able to fulfill your purpose fully that you want to fulfill. And that feels very, well, you can pick whatever word resonates for you. But for me, it felt so diminishing. And I just felt so much embarrassment and shame. And like, I want to go out and live my life, but there's this part of me that isn't letting me because I am believing that ego, that self-sabotaging mindset that's saying you're not good enough, you don't look good enough, you're going to be judged, you're not going to have the success, and people won't take you seriously, or whatever it is, because you don't look a certain way and fit a certain image, which of course is totally not true. But my ego actually had convinced me so much that was the case that I believed it, and I really held myself back. Because I see so many people who struggle, so like they're super successful, but they're struggling with emotional eating. They're struggling with lack of, self-care and taking time for themselves to work through their stressors. They say to me, I have success, in so many areas of my life, but I struggle and crumble when it comes to dealing with this emotional eating, dealing with my body image, dealing with, the diet mentality, and like getting into this all or nothing mindset and thinking I just need to be perfect on a diet. And it's like, if you could get a hold of this piece which pertains to your self-worth, which is everything, the relationship you have with food and your health, like your physical and emotional health, like how would it boost your success and take you to the next level, right? Like as an example, like a very famous one, Oprah, like she's had success in so many areas of her life, and weight and body image and emotional eating, I still believe is one area that it almost seems like she still struggles with. And correct me if I'm wrong, and Oprah, if you're listening and you need my help, I'm here to support you. But I just really think that and take it for what it's worth. This is truly just because of my own experience. Like my weight fluctuated for the first 25 years of my life. Like I was up and down because I was binging and dieting and restricting and binging and losing control with food. Like my weight was never within like a 5-pound radius for longer than like a few weeks or a few months, right? So I had like 5 different sizes of clothing in my closet, and I just, look back at pictures and I was always a different size. And for the last 7 years, and I don't really weigh myself, but I go by the way my clothes fit, and I just kind of know like, okay, these clothes are kind of like a certain range, and I've fit the same size of clothes and or like let go of protection over the last 7 years. And I've maintained though, like it's never gone up because I've dealt with the emotional eating. I've built the self-worth. I've done a lot of work on my hormones and digestion, and I continue to do my deeper healing work. Like, I continue to work on limiting beliefs I have. I continue to, this year I've worked a lot on attachment and fear. Had a lot of fear of being abandoned. Like, those are important things for me to work on, because whilst it's not triggering me to binge, I don't want to feel these things, even though I've never been abandoned, right? And I've learned a lot about myself by actually dealing with that. So to me, if someone has been successful with overcoming emotional eating and they love themselves and they have balanced their hormones and digestion, why is their weight still up and down 50, 60, 40, 100 pounds every other year? It just makes me curious. There's something going on, because we put on weight as a protection mechanism. The body puts it on. It's a primal instinct to go, I don't feel safe, I need to protect. And I know different traumas and different stressors and different experiences in life can have a huge impact on putting on protection, and working through and healing that stuff can help us to take it off. But I just really think if someone is successful in this area, they are really doing a deep level of work that is going to give them that freedom. And then it's so beautiful to maintain a weight and know that I feel safe in my body, therefore I don't need to put on protection, right? That's the goal. I think that that's such a great goal to get toward. And it's not about focusing on the weight. It's about you focusing on building the self-worth, the healthy relationship with food, freeing yourself of the diet mentality, the restrictive mentality, get rid of your scale, throw it out. And to also balance the physical state of health, the physical symptoms that your body is struggling with, that is also really important. So that's why I use Oprah as an example, because I absolutely love her. There's other, celebrities and public figures that I see, and I just observe them and I go, if you really mastered that, how come every time I see a magazine issue or a photo, the weight is either back or you're in the midst of losing it again? I just know for me that I would not want to be at that point in my life still battling with that. But each to their own, and everyone's on their own journey. But I just really think it's so important to address that. So when you're having success in all these different areas, whether it's a business owner and again in your career, it's to, really become present to do you want to hide? Do you feel like you need to be invisible? Do you not want to be seen? Do you feel like because you don't feel good enough, you don't feel worthy to make more money or attract higher level clients, or again, ask for that promotion or speak at that event or do big things in your world because you're who's going to take it seriously? Or I just don't feel good enough. I don't feel worthy. I don't believe in myself. Well, believing in yourself comes with building your self-worth. And dreaming big and believing that you can achieve anything, that also comes with believing in yourself and building your self-worth. And if you don't have that and you're constantly putting yourself down and going, I can't do that, I'm not good enough, I need to lose the weight first, I need to look a certain way first, you will block yourself forever until you choose to get out of your own way. And that's why doing this work is so valuable, because if it takes a year, couple of years to gain the freedom, well, think of then all the time you have left ahead of you to rock it, to be a voice, to be inspiring, to change the world, to run your business or have a great career. There's so much time left to change it regardless of your age. I've worked with people in their 60s, their 70s, and they've made transformation and have that freedom now for the rest of their lives, and they don't regret, taking that path. So I just want you to know it doesn't matter where you're at, what your age is, what your limiting beliefs are. They're just limiting beliefs. Unless there is literally a brick wall in front of you blocking you from taking action, you can take action. As they always say, the only thing that's in the way of you moving forward is yourself. So lovingly push yourself to the side and move forward. The No Sugarcoating podcast is proud to partner with Herbaland. Herbaland products are sugar-free, gluten-free, vegan, and made with love in Richmond, British Columbia. All of their vitamins and supplements come in gummy form, making them easy and fun to take. Their products are made for everyone to enjoy. Whether you are struggling with capsule fatigue, have trouble swallowing large capsules, or you simply love your vitamins tasting like delicious watermelon, Herbaland is for you. And a fun fact is that Herbaland is also the #1 gummy manufacturer in Canada. Be sure to check out more information and try your gummies at www.herbaland.ca. So not only is this about career or success in business, this is also about relationships. And I don't just mean with others, but that is important. So your marriage, the relationship you have with your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, the relationship you have as being a mother to your kids, being a friend, being a family member, being a coworker, being a boss, whatever that is. And also the relationship that you have with yourself, which is the most important one, because that one often then dictates the way you treat everybody else. And that relationship you have with yourself has a serious impact on your health in a positive or a negative way. And there's so many areas of success that could be missing for you because of emotional eating. And I find this time of year to be quite especially vulnerable for, people struggling with emotional eating, because there's so many food related events and holidays. So like we just had Canadian Thanksgiving this past weekend. I know that used to be a huge struggle for me. Like I'd binge on all the pumpkin spice everything and lose control. And it was very hard. And now it's easy because again, I've done the work, but it can be very vulnerable when you're like, I don't want to lose control. I don't want to gain weight. I don't want to get bloated, but I want to eat and enjoy myself, right? It's just kind of like, I don't know what to do. It can get very overwhelming. And then you overdo it and you feel the need to go on a crash diet. Then we have Halloween coming up. It's right on our doorstep. And then, of course, American Thanksgiving in November, and then, Christmas and holiday festivities, like that starts in November too and goes all the way through December, right? Christmas and then New Year's. And then depending, like if you're Ukrainian or any of that and you celebrate into January, like it can be a very long, vulnerable time for someone who struggles with emotional eating, losing control with food fears, food obsessions, binge eating, compulsive eating, whatever you want to call it. It's essentially, it is a very vulnerable time. It used to be a huge struggle for me, and it made me sad because I used to adore fall and all the food holidays and like Christmas and decorating the house. And then I learned to despise it all because I blamed all these holidays on me losing control. And then I didn't want to celebrate any of them because I just wanted to like be thin and miserable instead of build a healthy relationship with food and have it all, and also be able to enjoy the holiday season and have mindful indulgence, which I do now. So it's very fascinating to see how the joy can quickly be sucked out of something when we have an unhealthy relationship with food. Like I'm a huge Christmas fiend. Like I freaking love Christmas. And there's probably about 3 or 4 years where I didn't celebrate it at all because of this mentality. There's a lot of stuff going on with my family dynamic. I'm having MS and getting worse, and a lot of stress at home with that, and just like different life scenarios that happen. And I just like literally almost felt numb for a few years to all of it because I just did not want to lose control to food when I really had to learn to do the deeper work. So I don't know if any of you relate to that, but it doesn't have to be that way. And regardless of the time of year that it is, once you build a healthy relationship with food and you become mindful and you have success in this area of your life, you can look forward to any time of year and you don't have to worry about it or fear it, or then plan what kind of diet are you going to do after it's over. So let's talk a little bit about, the relationship that you have with others. So I've had a lot of clients who, when we first start, they share that their relationship at home is quite stressful, that they often will lash out at their spouse or partner because they feel really irritable and upset, often because of the fight they're going through with their body. And they take a lot of it out on their spouse, their partner, even sometimes their kids, even though it's got nothing to do with them, because you have a shorter fuse often, or maybe you're blaming things on them that just aren't their fault. Another thing that I observe a lot, and again, I went through this as well, is that you may expect to fulfill yourself and feel whole with someone else's love. And no one else will ever fill your void for you. They can support you, they can encourage you, they can be there for you, they can help you grow, but you can't expect someone else to fulfill you. So a lot of people have a void, and it's a lack of self-love. And then they, look at someone and go, oh, this person is so amazing. Like they're going to fix me, and like everything's just going to be great when I'm with them. And then there can become a lot of attachment in relationships, and there can become a lot of expectations. And then if, you're struggling with your weight or your body image, or you binged again, like you could potentially put it on them. And if you're not doing that, then that's good. But a lot of people don't take responsibility and ownership for their struggles. And then it becomes an issue in the relationship. Or it could be friendships that this is happening in, or it could again be impacting, the relationships that you have with your coworkers or your boss or your employees, that again, this stuff all gets projected on them because you don't know how to deal with it. And then it can create a lot of conflict and drama and like unnecessary stress, which then can trigger more binge eating, which we obviously do not want to happen. It can impact the relationship you have with your children, because if you're always saying negative things and you're always dieting, or if you're, innocently being critical of your kids and putting them on diets or telling them they need to lose weight, like that has a huge impact on them. Huge. I know when I was really little, like my parents never made any weight comments and they never did any of that. But my mom always talked about how she hated her body. She said, I hate myself all the time. And she often was really upset about it and cried. And she still to this day has a really bad sugar addiction. And that's what she's chosen. And I can't do anything about that. That's her journey and her path. Because trust me, believe me when I say I tried many times to help her. But that's a whole nother story. But I just remember all the times that I would see her like that. And therefore I grew up very insecure. I didn't know how to like my body or be confident. I didn't know what being a confident woman was all about. Like I had to learn all of that through going through my own journey and like building that relationship with myself. And it's not my mom's fault, because she didn't know what she didn't know. But it's so easy for kids to inherit things from their parents. Like most kids' parents are their idols and they look up to you and like you're there with them all the time, and therefore it's easy to inherit things. So I just think that being aware of what you're saying and the way that you're behaving around your children and what you're saying to your children is like, that is such an impactful relationship. And like, I don't believe we should be telling our kids they need to go on a diet or criticizing them for their weight. Like I specifically remember being in grade 7, and there was one girl in my class who disappeared for the whole year, and she left like the beginning of the year, and then she came back just before the school year had ended, and she had lost about 40 pounds. And we had then later come to find out that her mom was criticizing her about her weight and pulled her out of school and like was putting her on diets. And then for a short period of time, she created an eating disorder to lose this weight. And to me, that is just not the kind of relationship that we want to be teaching kids or teaching anyone when it comes to food, because it's not healthy, and it's not a healthy, loving way to support anybody. So your relationships with kids, with work, with your spouse, with your friends, and again, like the relationship you have with yourself, right? So first, this is like the body image. Like, how do you view yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror? Are you neutral and you just think nothing? Or is it that you're putting yourself down and you're picking certain parts of your body apart? You're saying you're fat, you're ugly, you're not good enough, whatever that is. You're too tall, too skinny, your boobs aren't big enough, your boobs are too big, your butt's too flat, your butt's too big. Like whatever that is that how you're talking to yourself? Or are you every day you're like, I freaking love you, body. Like, thank you for everything you're doing for me. I'm so grateful for you. Like, you are the reason that I exist here in this world and can do everything that I want to do, right? Like, which spectrum are you at? The negative self-loathing, the neutrality, or you're just like pumped for your life and for your body and you love yourself and you're just so excited. Like, it's such a contrast. And trust me when I say I used to be on the very negative end of the spectrum. And then obviously now I'm pumped for life and I'm so grateful for this vessel, this body that I get to live in and that I get to experience life in, because I would not be here if it wasn't for this beautiful vessel, this temple. And I'm so grateful and thankful that she kept going when I was punishing her and hurting her so much with food and negative self-talk and everything I put her through. And she's still here with me today, and we've made peace, and I love her so much, and I'm so grateful for her. And it makes me so emotional because everyone on this earth deserves to gain freedom from their negative self-talk, negative body image issues, the unhealthy relationship with food, and to have this freedom and this feeling that I have. Like, I wish I could just bottle it all up and sell it to all of you, but you have to be willing to take on this path and this work and this exploration on your own. But it is the most fulfilling work you will ever do and the most fulfilling journey you will ever go on, because when you create success in this area of your life with the relationship you have with yourself, it radiates tenfold everything. Like, when I was fighting with my body, I attracted men who had drinking issues, wanted to go out and party all the time. They were very superficial and judgmental. So if I had gained weight and then, we hadn't seen each other for a while, then they wouldn't even want to talk to me. That was my own attraction because of the way that I was with myself, right? I had crappy jobs. Like, I could manage my finances. I was always in a negative self-talk. And then when I shifted all of that, like I started my business, I started to like be in my purpose of serving and supporting other women that were struggling with this. I manifested like the love of my life, abundance, success, amazing opportunities. And here I am recording this podcast. So like the shift that happens, like I could talk about multiple client stories who've attracted their dream jobs, who've attracted loving relationships, or whose marriages were on the brink of being over that were saved because they decided to take responsibility and do their work. And then their partner wanted to do the same and they came together. And it's like so powerful what happens, or they have better relationships with their kids or their friends, or they attract like more aligned people. Like this is what happens. I'm a huge believer in the law of attraction. When you do the work and you change on the inside, what you attract changes for the better. It's always for the better. It's not for the worse. It's when we continue to accept struggling and suffering as our norm that we normally continue to attract opportunities, things, health issues, symptoms that don't serve us. So if you're on that path and you're just done with it and you're exhausted and you're just like, no more, I do encourage you to reach out, take advantage of the coaching cell. This is a great time to get off the path you're on and start to build a new one step by step. But that body image piece is big because if you have low self-worth and you don't feel good enough, like most people in society, you assume, well, I need to diet and exercise more to look a certain way and then everything will be perfect. And then when that doesn't happen and you lose control and you fall back into the food thing again, you know, it's like that vicious cycle just continues and it almost creates a bigger fight and a bigger disconnect between you and your self-worth and body image. And that diet restriction binge cycle fuels a more unhealthy relationship with food. Now it can fuel food fears. Now you can feel like there's whole groups of foods that you have to cut out. And then, you know, you're gaining weight and then your clothes aren't fitting and then you're insecure about that. And then you don't want to be intimate with your partner because you don't feel confident seeing yourself naked. And then, you know, you teach poor food habits to not only that you have yourself, but you teach that to your kids innocently. And then you don't want to be social. And then you have all these health issues that accumulate. And, you know, you're bloated and you have to like undo buttons on your pants by the end of the day. And the bloating is painful and it's uncomfortable and you're gassy. And therefore you don't want to be around groups of people and you don't want to take on those career opportunities or business opportunities because you're like so embarrassed by like your physical symptoms. And like maybe you feel really puffy and you have a lot of water retention and you're like, oh, my face is just like so puffy. Why? And I'm tired and my eyebrows are thinning and I have fatigue and brain fog and like my memory isn't working properly. And maybe you, no matter what you eat, you get pain after it or you heartburn and it's just like, I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what to do. And it's no quality of life. It's not the ideal quality of life at all. And so it's to start to go, is it really worth continuing the path of the emotional eating, the diet mentality, thinking that a diet is going to fix everything? Or recognizing and just admitting like, it's okay if this is an area where you don't have success. It's okay if you're struggling with emotional eating. Don't be embarrassed. Do not judge yourself. This is something that the more we can accept it and create a judgment-free zone from it and go, if I am ready to take a different approach and to gain the freedom, even though I know it can be scary, trust me, no one ever regrets gaining freedom from emotional eating, feeling better, having more energy, having their digestion work properly, mental clarity, confidence, not having to obsess about food all day. No one regrets not having to deal with that stuff anymore. The in-tuneness, the awareness you build with your body, you learn how to listen to your body and then you know what to give your body. Like that's such a gift. I think we should be taught that in school, but we're not. But that is something that's so valuable for me to teach my clients. So, you know, I just think that there's so much that can happen when we're willing and open to put the fear aside, you know, the worry about stepping outside of our comfort zone and to have the courage to transform so that you can have success in all areas of your life, including with your family, your relationships, your business, your career, your kids, your friends, and most importantly, the relationship that you have with yourself, because it costs a lot to stay in that cycle. And if you're wondering what it's costing you financially, physically, and emotionally to stay stuck in that cycle, make sure you listen to episode 202 of the podcast. I will also link to the show notes because I actually talk about different areas and then you can add it up and get a better idea of yourself. So make sure that you check that out. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. The show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/207. Again, if you have questions, you can submit them to me at info@amberapproved.ca. I ask that questions are no more than 150 words in length, as health histories need more support. Private coaching may be a better fit. You can also email me at that same email if you have feedback or certain podcast topics that you want to see. I am always open. So make sure that you share your feedback as well. I want to just congratulate the winner of the giveaway. I totally meant to do it last week and then had this trip and forgot. So congrats to Ashley. Ashley is down in Texas. So congrats on winning the giveaway. And thank you again for all of your wonderful 5-star reviews and ratings. So I hope that you enjoy your day and your week. And I hope that you take a moment to thank your body for something that he or she does for you every day that you're grateful for. And again, if you are wanting to further connect to talk more about the way that I work with my clients and potentially seeking out that support, take advantage of the fall coaching sale and email me at amberapproved.ca. Because remember, as I always say, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health. So take action now. You will not regret it, because body freedom does await you. Have a beautiful day, a great week, and I will look forward to sharing a whole new episode with you guys next Sunday. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, review, and rate this podcast and share it with your friends. You can find me at amberapproved.ca and follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Amber Romaniuk. Join me next Sunday for another brand new episode and another step toward body freedom.